obviously you got a UFC Fight Night on April 15th in the Sprint Center in Kansas City. First fight back in UFC after your tough finale. Just what are your thoughts going into it? Like you had said, you'd only have a few professional fights anywhere near your hometown of Wichita.
It's good. I'm glad to be back in there. This is my first fight since the Ultimate Fighter finale. My first fight since fighting, the pound-for-pound best guy in the world, Demetrious Johnson. I was hurting in that fight from a weight cut, and I look forward to doing things right this time. And getting to fight close to my hometown is amazing here in Kansas City. And I get to fight a good opponent, Louis Smolka. He's a guy who comes forward and likes to throw a lot of punches and strikes. So I'm super excited about the venue. I'm super excited about the matchup.
Yeah. Let's talk about your matchup a little bit in Smolka. He's a 5'9" guy. You're 5'7", 5'8", so two tall guys for the flyweight class. How's that going to look aesthetically?
This is the first time I fought anybody taller than me in the flyweight division. I'm used to being the tall guy, so it's going to be some adjustments, but at the same time, I train with tall guys all the time. The guy who holds pads for me, James Krause, is a tall guy, so I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. But Smolka's good. He lost 2 in a row, so he's kind of doing do or die here. So this is a very important fight for him, and in the UFC, and for me as well. I haven't won a fight since before the Ultimate Fighter, so I'm on that losing streak a little bit as well. So this is kind of do or die for both of us, and I think that makes for an exciting matchup.
Of course. You mentioned that he's losing. He has lost 2 in a row. And meanwhile, you're in a position where you're coming off of fighting against Demetrious Johnson, where a lot of people said that was the toughest defense he had. And you're coming ranked in the top 10 in a flyweight class. You get a win over an established guy like Smolka. That could kind of put you in line back into that title fight conversation. How does all that weigh on you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I feel like, I did give him a run for his money. I feel like I can do a lot better. I was hurting, like I said, in the weight cut from that fight. I struggled the whole way through. I was in pretty severe amount of pain, not from getting hit, but my stomach was cramping up. And that's the first time I've ever had that happen in a fight. So I know that I can do better. I know that I can compete a lot better than that. So the goal now is beat Smolka, and I figure if I get one more win outside of Demetrious Johnson, that'll put me in the contention spot again. And that's the goal, and that's the game plan is get that rematch with Demetrious Johnson. And to me, it's not all about wins and losses. I want to put on exciting fights, and I feel like we kind of got robbed of a really exciting fight that could have been really, really exciting in our first fight. So
it definitely was a lot of time spent on the ground in that fight. Was that a byproduct of how you were feeling? And you didn't feel like you could stand as much?
The thing is when I tried to get up, I got up. It wasn't registering to me as well. My coaches were saying the right things. It was just a matter of doing it, and I didn't do it. And I see now when I watch, I was like, man, I could have got up there. There was opportunity. So it wasn't Demetrious Johnson. It was my fault. I don't take anything away from him. It's the things that need adjustments are all on my end.
Still getting close to finishing that fight. Let's go back to that fight, that first round. You transitioned out of a guillotine to a Darce. How did he get out of that?
He's just a vet. That's a submission I go to a lot. I like the guillotine. I'm typically an arm-out guillotine guy. This one was stuck arm in. It felt tight. He made some adjustments, so I switched off to the Darce, and I kind of went the wrong way first, and then my coaches let me know that I was going the wrong way, so I tried to fix it. But any mistakes you make with Demetrious Johnson, he's a vet. He knows how to find victories, and he knows how to he's a smart fighter, and he outsmarted me a little bit, and those are some of the adjustments that I need to make.
Going ahead now to Smolka, we talked about the height a little bit. You talked about how he's coming off 2 losses, and you want to get that win, or you both need to get that win. Looking at his tape, he seems to be really good off his back. He can create opportunities on the ground. And you're very much someone, you had just told me before we started, you're a sporadic guy. You like to create your own opportunities. Does that have the makings of a good show?
For me, that's exactly what I want. I want excitement. I want scrambles. With this guy, the thing is to try to slow it down a little bit. He is dangerous from his back. He throws up crazy triangles. He has good elbows from his back. So I would like to, stand as long as I can, and then when I get the opportunity for a takedown, just put him up against the cage. I think he's least dangerous up against the cage with his back against the cage. So if I could work him up against the cage instead of on the ground, I think that's what I'd really like to do. And then just take the easy takedown. But ideally, I would get an early knockout and go home to my family right away.
There you go, nice and clean, right?
Yes, sir.
You talked about, you just mentioned the weight cut, quite a few times already. I read after the fight you wanted to go to 135. Why are you still in this 125 class? Why does that cut still feel right to you?
Two reasons. First reason was the UFC pretty much told me if I go up to 35, I have to stay there. And I was hoping to go up and fight, and then whenever they needed somebody that could compete with Demetrius, I was going to be the guy. But my coaches also told me, hey man, you're right there. You're in the spotlight now. You get 2 more wins, you're going to get this rematch. So I just, I take the advice of my coaches. When they say something, I trust them. If I didn't trust them, then I would have to go to a different gym. So I'm lucky enough I have good guys telling me what to do, telling me that I can make it. I'm making some adjustments on my intake on food and the type of food that I'm eating and how much I'm eating. So I feel like that won't be an issue in this fight.
What do you walk around at when you're out of camp?
After the Ultimate Fighter House, I got as big as 162. Right now, I'm walking around about 43. So
okay. So that's not as steep of a drop. No. Do the new weigh-in procedures at UFC affect anything with that? I'm pretty sure it changed between the Ultimate Fighter House and your fight with TJ.
It did, yeah. At first I thought it was going to be good. I think that it is good. I was hoping that it was going to help guys, getting the early weight cut. But for me, the way we've always done weigh-ins was we cut weight the day of some. We have 3 or 4 the day of. We have a lot of time that day that we don't want to just be down the weight. We want to have something to do. So I've been so used to that, and then to knock it all off that night.
Basically, you have to wake up and be at that weight.
Yeah, so it was difficult, but again, it was all things on my end. I should have made adjustments sooner. My body had changed a little bit from the Ultimate Fighter with making weight 4 times in 4 weeks and then fighting 4 times in 4 weeks. I came out of there pretty unhealthy, and I'm just now getting back to my normal body. Just my skin is just now getting back to normal. I see physically I'm just now getting back to my normal self. So I think that all kind of played a factor, and I look forward to being able to compete at 100%.
That's a brutal thing about the Ultimate Fighter. I don't see how those guys can cut weight 4 times in a month.
Well, my coach just did it, but they do it at a weight class above what they normally fight at.
Yeah.
John Dodson, when he won the Ultimate Fighter at 135 pounds, he was really a flyweight.
Mm-hmm.
So
he just moved back up to 135.
Back at 35, and he's in the top 10. Him and John Lineker both. So.
You've been in the UFC before, and then you went to Titan and got your title. This is definitely, a second chance for you, though. Sure. At least in the UFC. Does the magnitude of all that, if you lose this, you may not get another one. I'm not sure how does all that weigh on you?
You'd think it would weigh pretty heavy, but even the first time I got fired from the UFC, it wasn't a big deal. It happened at a really good time. My baby was just being born, so I was spending a ton of time with my baby. I thought I was going to be done fighting, and I quit taking fighting so serious. It was every day. I was grinding. I was working, 8-hour days fighting, and it was no fun. And I wasn't getting any better. So then when my baby was born, I kind of just would come and go and goof around at the gym. And I started having fun and not taking it so serious. And then I was like, man, I'm getting better again. I'm having fun again. So then I started fighting again, and I started doing good, and I started enjoying myself again. So I don't take it too serious. If I get fired again, no big deal. I got a girlfriend who works hard and makes decent money, and I don't mind being a stay-at-home dad. I like to cook, I like to clean, I like to change diapers. And I don't mind being poor. I've been poor my whole life, and the thing that's important to me is my kid, and really everything else is just fun.
What's the best meal you cook?
Man,
go to on your wife's birthday or something like that.
Oh man, it's hard to say. I like fish myself, so really any kind of fish, and tuna's super easy because you just barely have to.
That's a combat sport veteran's answer right there. Is white meat fish right there. Let's go back a little bit. The connection as to why I'm here. You wrestled at Labette for 2 years.
3 actually.
3. You were there for 3 years.
I stuck around a little bit after to finish up schooling and to help out.
Okay. And you were under Coach Renfro all three years.
Yes, sir.
National title your sophomore year.
Yep. Outstanding wrestler of the nation.
Exactly. What do you remember about that?
I struggled getting through high school. I was, not a really bad kid, but I wasn't the best student. I was kind of you know, a little bit of a knucklehead. And I had my high school coach actually wrestled with Renfro at Labette, and he said, "Hey, I know this coach. He's got a program. I'm going to take you up there, and this is where you're going to go to school."
So your coach probably wrestled with Thompson then?
Yes. Yep. Jody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Coach Joel.
Okay.
So he took me up there, and then you know, I signed, and you know, Renfro is just the kind of coach that.
How are you? Oh shoot, sorry, Dad.
He not only wants you to win for him and the school, but he wants you to win for yourself, and he wants you to be a good person. So, man, he really went to bat for me and stuck his neck out for me, and I was lucky enough to get to wrestle under a coach who would do anything for his guys. And you know, I was in a situation in my life to where I would have done anything for him. If he told me walking out into oncoming traffic was going to help me win a national title, I wouldn't have thought twice. I would have just done it because I know he knows what it takes. So. Yeah, I wasn't even a very good wrestler. The guy who I beat in the national finals he ended up being a 3-time national champion and second place to me. 10 times better wrestler than I ever was. But you know, Renfro always said you don't have to be the best all the time. You just have to be the best one day. So I took that to heart, and you know, he's a big reason why I'm here and still able to compete and still able to fight because you know, he always taught us when we're wrestling, it's not a wrestling match, it's a fight.
Yeah.
And we were out there fighting, and we beat a lot of guys that were better wrestlers, and that's by fighting.
How much of your wrestling background do you lean on in MMA? Because I feel like you have become more of a primary striker. How much of that base do you rely on?
It used to be that's all I had. I was just a wrestler. I was just a control guy. And then I get up here with James Krause and Zach Cummings, these great strikers, and I steal as much stuff from everybody that I can. Now I feel like striking is my best tool, and guys are having to take me down. So the wrestling that I'm having to rely on now is defensive wrestling, which I really never was that great at. So it's new. I'm still learning. I'm still getting better every day. So you know, now it's relying on trying to stop a takedown and getting up off bottom.
Mm-hmm. Same
things that I needed in the Demetrius fight.
Yeah, that was definitely a fight that was spent on the ground. You know, you talked about being poor and being okay with it being a stay-at-home dad. In about 2 weeks, you're going to be the fan favorite at the Sprint Center.
Finally.
Right? What does that mean? I mean, you look back and say you have been poor most of your life. You know, you said you weren't a great student coming out of high school. You've been fired from the UFC before. You are going to be who gets the loudest cheers in 2 weeks in a loaded Sprint Center.
Man, it's an amazing feeling. The most important thing and the coolest thing for me is these fights are going to happen early. And my baby, she was born into the fights. I brought her home from the hospital. We had to corner somebody that day. So she came straight from the hospital right into loud noises and lights. So it's going to be early enough that she can come and watch, and my family can be there and watch it. You know, it doesn't really matter to me if it's Kansas City or Las Vegas. But the cool thing is everywhere else I go and fight, I'm the guy that everybody wants to see lose. You know, except for the Demetrius Johnson fight.
Yeah.
So to come into a crowd and have a bunch of people cheering for you and actually want to see you do good, you know, it's a great feeling. And you know, I felt before like I made it once when I was fighting at the MGM Grand. I was like, this is it. You know, this is the fight capital of the world. But you know, that wasn't it. I never really got to fight close to home, and to where not only my friends and family and my close ones can come see it, just people that randomly know me can come check it out. And you know, this isn't a big fight city, and the UFC coming here might help that out. So.
There you go. Any predictions?
Man, I predict early first round finish. I know I said that before, but a lot of times I like to take guys in deep waters. I like to see how good their cardio is. I like to see how tough they are, and I like to do some cool shit. But for this fight, I feel like it's very important to go out there and get an early win and stay healthy and get ready for Demetrius. I'm not looking past Smolka. I know he's a tough guy. I know he's dangerous. But this is the fight that I want. He's exciting. He comes forward. He bangs, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Lions are tough.
That's right.
There you go. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. I
I
really appreciate
appreciate it. Thank you.